Hey y'all, hope you're doing good today. So I am partially through my coffee, and I hope you have something good to enjoy while you listen to the message, and I just hope that you enjoy it. So today I want to share some thoughts about our discernment, and specifically asking the question, does our discernment need any help? And so I'm very inspired today. I have days like that where I just have a flood of things, and I'm thinking, I've got to find a way to share all this with you guys. And then other days I have plenty of time and I want to make a video, and there's just nothing. I draw a blank. Kind of like anytime I'm put on the spot, I do that too. I have a tendency to do that, which is why I'm not brave enough yet to do live videos. But maybe one day. I think it would be fun, and so I do want to try it one day. But okay, let's go ahead and move forward with the message I have. So the question is, does our discernment need help, or does help interfere? So I wouldn't say, because I've done some thinking on this morning, and I'm drawing upon all my experience, right? My life experience. So I would not say it needs help, but I would say that instead we need help. Our discernment doesn't need help, but we need help learning to discern between our own thinking, which is heavily rooted in just what we've learned in the world, the worldly ways, conditioned thinking, automatic responses that we don't immediately identify as being robotic or conditioned, but really it is, and sometimes also attached to expectations of others, which all this stuff creates these mental prison-like structures, and I think that this clouds our judgment and acts as a shield or a wall between us and our conscious awareness and this inner guiding light, which I'm really talking about and labeling as discernment today, right? But instead of our discernment itself needing help, I think that we need help to be able to tell the difference in this conditioned type of thinking and true inner guidance from our higher self, or through the Christian lens, the Holy Spirit, right? So, in other words, we need to learn what it is and how to access it. So, I would say that, and please know this is just my opinion, but based on my life experience as well. So I think there's some validity there. I think the number one way to learn what this inner guidance is and how to get in touch with it is organic, just living this human experience, because it's through trial and error. Because in hindsight, what do they say? Hindsight is 20/20. It's like when you're looking back, you can say, I felt bad. I felt bad about taking that job, or I felt bad about making that decision, or moving into that house, or dating that person, or whatever it was. You can look back and usually you can have this little spark of memory where you're like, yeah, I remember having, some concerns that I just kind of ignored or pushed away, So trial and error is the number one teacher. And in this way, you might consider it a gift, not necessarily a gift that we want, but it ultimately does benefit us. It's like every day is your birthday, It's just if you don't totally withdraw from life altogether, if you can be strong enough to continue and just understand that you're going to make mistakes, others are going to make mistakes, and there's going to be learning along the way, then you can kind of relax and just say, life is imperfect, and that's okay, and I am too, and the people that are right for me are going to be okay with that. You know what I mean? Because they can see your heart and your integrity. And so yes. So in thinking about that, I was thinking like every day's your birthday. In that regard, I was thinking about this year, I actually bought myself a rum cake. I don't know if you guys have ever had one, but I've been thinking about getting one again. I treated myself this morning actually with a caramel apple. I love caramel apples, and they come out every time or every year this time of year, in the fall, and I can't wait. So some are better than others, but the one today was okay, but I'm just super excited. So just treat yourself. I had an advisor a few years ago, and she wound up being a friend. I haven't talked to her in a few years. I need to get in touch with her, but she taught me some very simple truths that were also profound. And one of those is, when you're trying to learn and grow in life, and you are identifying things that are not so good for you, like even in your diet, right? She says, don't just immediately start taking away stuff, because if you're already in a place where you got some stuff going on in your life, and lots of challenges or tough things or whatever, you start taking all this stuff away, then it's kind of setting yourself up for failure. And so she was saying, and I actually had another friend too, that I met during this same time period, who was also telling me, because I was like, should I stop drinking my dessert coffees? My iced lattes, they got a lot of sugar and cream and stuff in them. And she's like, don't give up your lattes. Don't give it up. And so, but the first person I was talking about here, she was saying that instead of taking things away, start by adding things that are healthy for you, and kind of get used to that before you start removing the things that you've identified, are not so good for you. So, but yeah, so caramel apples, I like how they're really only available for part of the year, ready-made anyway, with the peanuts. Those are my favorite. And so it's good. Just treat yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Life's hard enough. And if you get a chance, order you a rum cake off of Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. They're so good, y'all. And they're small. They're like perfect for a little personal treat. They're kind of shaped like a bundt cake, so they're cool. Okay, that was a huge tangent. I hope you enjoyed it though. So the second way to learn to differentiate between your own thinking and your true discernment from your higher self is gentle guidance from our elders. Now, here's the problem. When I say elders here, I don't mean people who have just aged into being an elder. I mean people who have been able to successfully make their own interconnection with their own guidance and discernment. And a lot of people, it kind of seems to me at least, just never get there. So that's why I say, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm never going to look at a person who is older and just assume that they're wise, because no. But you want to take guidance from people, like I said, who have successfully integrated with their inner guidance. Now, in a perfect world, we would have been able to preserve this approach that a lot of ancient cultures used with their youth. The different ceremonies and stages of youth's development, where the elders would create a ritual or a ceremony that would be so impressionable upon the youth in their tribe, within their culture, that it would forever shape the youth. It's kind of like an elder, a wise elder, inducing another level of awareness within the youth on purpose. And see, we've lost that. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. I know what I'm trying to communicate, but it's kind of like we've just gotten so disconnected from wisdom, I think. And when I say wisdom, I'm not talking about academic knowledge. We have no lack there. We got all this stuff on paper. I'm talking about the deeper wisdom, the spiritual wisdom. And so that's where I feel like we're just getting further and further away from that. And I think that omitting the practice within our modern day culture of intentionally instigating these new awakenings amongst the youth. It's just kind of like leaving them out there to raise themselves and figure it out on their own. And so that's something I wish that would come back, but I can't see everybody getting on the same page either with a lot of things. There's so much individual thought, and I'm not saying that's bad, but there's just been a loss of community. That's what I want to say. At least that's my perception. Not totally, but in comparison to, older cultures and tribes who truly work together to help advance their youth in that manner. That seems to be lost, and it's really sad. But I want to share with you just a couple of questions from my own personal experience that might be help. And these are meant to be very telling questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to get back in touch with your discernment, okay? And this can be helpful maybe even looking back in your past to help validate where you are now in regards to leaving a relationship that maybe was confusing and maybe you never got validation about, things like that. So the first would be, would I feel safe with this person, whoever you're thinking of, in an emergency? In my experience, there's certain ideas or questions like this that have popped up in my mind, and they have kind of surprised me. And it's kind of like you can be so detached from your inner guidance because of so many different reasons. You can get lost in this manner, right? And when you are, when the Bible talks about being lost, I think this is really getting close to what's intended there, okay? When you're just trying to figure your way through things and things are confusing and a person is confusing and they have a very big role in your life, for example, these kind of questions can cut right through. And you may not have like the bullet point answers or examples to back up your feelings, but yet these certain questions can be very insightful and kind of give you clues or signs as to what your inner guidance is trying to tell you. I'm looking down because my microphone's down here. Sometimes it's kind of crackly, and outside it's kind of hit or miss when it comes to the quality. I hope it's okay today, y'all. But yeah, that's the first question I have. Would I feel safe with this person in an emergency? That can be a very telling answer that comes to you. All right, the second would be, would I be okay with this person being the person I was with if it was my time to go, my time to leave this realm? What if you were with this person you're thinking of? Would you feel peaceful about it? Or would you feel really not okay with it? Even if you don't know why. I would invite you to not necessarily try to analyze this stuff. Well, there's some squirrels over here. I'm sure you guys can hear them. Let me point the microphone. Oh, they're stopping now. They're super distracting for me. Did you hear that? Wild. Okay. Anyway, I hope that you can still hear. But it's, I would invite you not to analyze. Try to, because see, I think we can find ourselves getting in the habit of trying to verify and validate our inner guidance with information or data that we don't yet have. Sometimes that comes later, but again, this stuff is not about being petty. It can be life-saving, for real. Okay, so that's my second question. My third question is, if something happened to me, and this is in relation to like your spouse, if you're starting to feel like, I don't think I really know this person that I married, but I can't really pinpoint why, something feels wrong, but I'm not sure what. Is it me? Is it them? If you're kind of in that situation, or if you're out of it and you're looking back, either way. Here's the question. If something happened to me, would they, meaning my spouse, move on without missing a beat? I think that in your heart of hearts, you know the answer to that. in my opinion, my humble opinion, if it's true love, they're not going to move on without missing a beat. In their heart, if they are capable of love, that's what I mean when I say true. Not that it's a true connection between the two of you. I'm saying if a person truly has love in their heart for you, and there was a loss, they would mourn. They would not just keep right on trucking like nothing ever happened. And so, and some of us have experienced, asking this question, knowing it in our hearts that they wouldn't miss a beat, and then life has proven this to some people, So the fourth question is there a drastic change in how they are around me versus if we have guests over? And again, you don't have to analyze this stuff. This is just like a gut check type exercise you can do with these questions, okay? Is there a drastic change in how they are around me versus if we have guests over? And they may change how they treat you when someone else is over. They may treat the other people very different than how they treat you, but it feels not organic or true. It just feels odd. It's just a gut check. The fifth one, and this is the last one I have, do I tend to get tension, headaches, or dizziness, or vertigo, or even food allergy symptoms, or anything weird bodily, right? Only around this person or these people. Is there a pattern of your body reacting? I would just say don't ignore that. Again, you don't have to analyze it. Just put your safety and your health first. I would just advise you to do that. So, and then of course there's more obvious things that are really kind of undeniable that some people do, and a lot of these things we totally overlook and we just let it go because we think it's no big deal. We think it's petty and stuff like that, right? But it's but these things they're not usually petty or even being paranoid, okay? So I think it's so important truly to strive for discernment when it comes to our connections with other people. The Bible, if you need proof, the Bible is full of warnings about people and being careful who you're with and who you trust. And it's pretty extreme, really, in its directives and what all it says about the human heart being evil and just, all the traps. It's just, so it's not, I think sometimes modern culture influences us to such a degree that we feel like we are being petty or childish to have any concern or to even question any connections at all in our life. But the truth is, again, people pay a price every day for not using their discernment. So yeah, if we could teach our youth how to tune in to their inner guidance, that would be great. And I'll say this, I have witnessed several times parents who have interfered with their children's choices. When I say children, I mean like young adults. I have witnessed parents interfere with their choices, like in who they were dating, and it wound up rerouting them into marrying the wrong people. I'm not necessarily saying that this was wrong. It's just that I'm gonna make a point here in a minute. Okay. And I've also witnessed a parent who was totally hands off. Like, I'm not going to interfere with my child's choices. And that wound up, it resulted in a very difficult outcome for that child too. So again, there's no perfection in the world, truly, as far as our choices go, right? But 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17 instructs us to pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. And so let's take a quick look at the word pray, the etymology of the word pray. From the early 13th century, it's from prein, P-R-E-I-E-N, meaning to ask earnestly. And then from the early 14th century, it means to invite. I like this. So both to invite and to ask earnestly. So now we're starting to define a little bit better such an abstract concept as tuning into this higher guidance, right? So I would just propose it this way. Maybe we could think of it as inviting this higher counsel, spiritual elder, okay, into our mind and heart, and then asking our questions. Just it's a relationship, and yeah, it's kind of like conceptually, when I'm thinking about this stuff, I bet that some of the answers that are going to come about whatever I'm thinking of are going to be hard to hear. Maybe I don't want to hear what needs to be said, but here's my experience. That's what I think. But in my experience, when you're in this space of receptivity, of inviting the higher counsel into your mind and heart, the answers that have come to me have given me peace. They've given me peace. So I think that you have to first be in this space of receptivity or surrender. And then once you are, your heart is softened, and as such, you are trusting, and the answers land softly because of it. Does that make sense? And I think also too, I just want to make this statement just as a disclaimer. The answers received from a loving higher power will always be rooted in peace and goodness and love, and they will be fruitful. They'll never be destructive, So I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope that it got the wheels turning for you. I just wanted to share. I've got some other thoughts I want to share too today. I'll probably wind up making another video or two. But yeah, the story, The Winter's Tale here from Shakespeare, it's only complicated because there's a billion characters in it, but the story itself is pretty straightforward, and it's kind of crazy. This guy, he just winds up getting paranoid, getting the wrong impression about something, and then he winds up just making a huge mess of everyone's life and his own and his kids, and it's just crazy. So it'll be entertaining. I hope you enjoy it, and I can't wait to share it with you all. I hope that I get around to doing that today, but I've got some more things to share with you too. So I'll stop here for now. Don't forget to check out the link to the rum cake in the description, and you can enjoy it any time of the year. I would say it doesn't have to be a special occasion, right? Be good to yourself and trust yourself and know that you are loved and you do matter. So thanks so much for coming along to hear the message. I hope that the audio has been okay. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you again very soon.
It's full of love.